Hi, welcome to Professor Kev Show. I got my friend Zaid in Milan with us from Food4Philly. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's jump in. So this is a nonprofit. Why did you start it?
Yeah, so for context, Food for Philly is a student-led 501(c)(3) nonprofit focused on alleviating food insecurity in the Philadelphia region and beyond. Essentially, the reason we started this goes back to when I was a sophomore in high school. I was taking, COVID was very prevalent at its peak, and I was taking virtual classes in high school. And a lot of my friends, we wanted to do something for our community. It was the beginning of 2021 on TV. We could see long lines at all the food banks. We heard that even some of the local food banks in the local area had increased demand. So we wanted to do something to tackle this. So we formed some chapters at local high schools in the area where we live, and we started holding volunteering events at different food banks. We started fundraising, and we even held some food distribution events at locations throughout the Philadelphia area. Another big part of this was our food network, where we would connect local restaurant partners with local food banks by getting students to transport surplus food to the food banks where they could then distribute it. And through this, we were able to really donate tens of thousands of pounds of food over that period.
Oh,
The interesting thing is that even though, COVID has obviously subsided, the demand for food and food insecurity, as a whole has actually persisted, which is why we've, continued to do what we do, continue to try and scale our organization and really impact as many people as possible.
what's kind of ironic about this is I'm the former chairman of the food pantry in my town. So
Really?
I can
Interesting.
totally understand what you're talking about. And it's a really cool big deal when you get like food from a restaurant donated, or even fresh produce. Like, oh my God, they got extra stuff today. It really just cheers people up because they're like, I can't justify the cost of going and buying this meal. I'm standing in line to get food, so to get one for free is just a super big deal. They really, really appreciate it and stuff. So tell me about the impact you've had. What have you seen from this?
Yeah, definitely. So Zaid mentioned and talked about the context of Food4Philly and our founding. So to go back a little bit, in 2022, just around a year after we were founded, around 600,000 food Philadelphians were food insecure. So we talk about Philadelphia, which is where we've been founded, as the poorest large city in the nation. So this is really a hub for all of the work that we do with food insecurity. And now we're seeing that impact really materialize. So over the past year, I'm Milan. I've been president for around a year and a half now. Um, and over the past year, we've had some changes to our impact from what Zaid talked about in our origins. So, like Zaid mentioned, one of our earliest partners was actually Panera Bread. We worked with these kind of restaurant chains who had extra food at the end of the day to donate it and repurpose that food so it wouldn't go to waste. We work with a nonprofit in Philadelphia called Sharing Excess, who donate us food from the Philadelphia wholesale market, which is also otherwise going to go to waste in the consumer world. But when people are looking for a meal, this is perfectly viable food and goes to a good cause. So now, specifically, our impact is divvied up into three different ways, and I could talk about kind of our structure at Food4Philly. We run these events, first food distribution events, which just look like setting up a table, putting some music on. They're always nice community bonding events in a park in Philadelphia in these kind of underserved communities that we target and handing out food for free. This food is donated to us or it's purchased. No matter how we get it, we're handing that food out for free. It's a nice community bonding event and it lasts for a couple hours a day. In the new year, to kind of talk about the future of our impact, we're looking at doing these events weekly, so on a recurring basis, which is a task to take on, especially in being student run. It's always kind of tough to maximize our impact in that way and get students driven to show up at these often times. However, we've noticed that kind of spontaneous events, when people are looking for meals and don't know when their next meal will come, it's important to have a schedule and have recurring events so they know when their next meal will be there, especially if they're relying on an organization like us for a meal for that day. We also do volunteering events. We look at work at local food pantries. It's awesome that you were running or the head of your local food pantry because that's exactly who we love to work with. Each community is so different, and the 13 chapters we have in the Philadelphia area, even though they're maybe half an hour away from each other, those communities are just so different, and working with those local organizations, those local food pantries, really allows us to touch on so many different communities within a small area. We also have a chapter in Boston and a chapter in California, and they do similar things to touch on different types of communities. And lastly, we do fundraising, we support partners, and we kind of look at tackling this issue on more of a long-term scale with maximizing our long-term impact through funds, through similar methods like that, and always looking to expand and grow. Yeah.
You boys made me smile because, like, I love when your generation comes to volunteer at the pantry, and the reason why you're much better people than we are. Just are. I mean, when I have young people, the our clients just love them because you're just not judgmental like older people. You're just not, whenever I have them there, I'm like, they'll like point you out, go, I want to wait for them, like they don't want the older people to even help them and stuff. It just amazes me just how you have that ability to bond with people. It's just so much better. And I remember the first time I brought in some young people, some of the older board members going, okay, like,
Yeah.
I think we need them instead of us. I'm like, we more than need them more than us and stuff. So that's kind of cool. So just talk to me a little bit about the other chapters. How did you get the Boston chapter, for instance? Because I'm up in New England. How did that come together?
Yeah, for sure. So Zaid, yeah, you talk about this was kind of founded, and I'll talk about California right after.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really interesting because when we started this in high school, we were all in the local area, but then as we, began to matriculate to college, right, all of our members start to go to different places. So as a result, we have members in school in Pittsburgh, then we can start a Pittsburgh chapter. We have members who go to school at Boston University or universities in that city, and we have a chapter there. So it's really interesting to see as time goes on, Food for Philly and our impact, which is now characterized as food for or bold for Boston or food for Pittsburgh, kind of fun ways to rebrand. We've expanded into cities nationwide, and we really want to continue to do this as time goes on.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. And sorry, just to touch on California, that's actually a high school chapter. So it's not an example of matriculation, but more so students having personal connections, maybe a friend in California who also wants to make an impact. And that's just kind of connecting these similar, like-minded peers, which is the basis of what the work we do. Driven students who want to connect with people of like minds. And that's how California got started. Yeah.
All right, guys, crystal ball time. What's the future hold for Food for Philly?
Yeah, so we always want to stay true to our roots, the idea of leveraging student initiative to help fight food insecurity, and we want to continue to create more chapters, expand more nationwide, and really focus on that core food distribution element. With that being said, we also have other branches of Food for Philly now. For example, we have the Food for Philly podcast, where we interview other philanthropists and experts in the nonprofit industry, and we even have a philanthropic impact fund where we're investing tens of thousands of dollars on behalf of the nonprofit to help deliver sustainable returns that hopefully benefit the organization and other organizations that we can donate to. Even moving forward, we hope to forge more partnerships. Like Milan mentioned, one of our biggest partners is Sharing Access, one of the largest food related nonprofits on the East Coast. They've almost donated 100 million pounds of food to date. So we've received really great mentorship from other organizations, and again, we really hope to create these synergistic partnerships as time goes on.
So what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they learn more then?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we always love getting messages from supporters, from students who want to also get involved. And the best way really is to go to our email, which is foodforphilly@gmail.com. Our website has a lot of resources for tackling food insecurity in your own community. We'd love for you to get involved with Food for Philly, but the mission at the end of the day is to fight food insecurity and to get students engaged. So if you have a drive to get engaged and to do some impact in your own community, whether that be in food insecurity, whether that be with Food for Philly, our mission is always to support that and to allow students to engage with their communities. Schools have a lot of great support systems to do that. But in founding a chapter, the best way is to go to the website, reach out, and access the support that we have in our network.
Awesome. I appreciate you both taking a few minutes to call on the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.